Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are playing a 4v4 tow match on TotalWar. Hope I said that right. I am playing as 9 Point Portugal UK, and just to start off the round, I've spawned right up the front, nowhere near my allies, so I immediately pull back. It's a very wise strategy when you've got 3 to 4 armies bearing down on you and some massive guns opening up on you to just pull back to a more defensible position, which tends to be the crossroads. You can kind of see it on the minimap in the top right. All these roads kind of converge at TotalWar, so it's very wise to get out of there, which is what I'm doing. Although I do notice that I've not been pushed quite as hard as I'm expecting, so I start forming up the guys just to prepare, and I don't think that it's necessary to fall all the way back at this point. And I've set the Portuguese guns up on the hill, returning a little bit of fire. You can see the LOC building is being targeted quite indiscriminately already, and I've not managed to garrison it. If you're new to the mod, if you put a unit inside a building and it gets damaged up to 50%, you will lose quite a lot of men in your unit. So if a building's getting targeted, just sit outside of it. It's not worth sending your men in if you don't have to, which is what I've done there. These guns that I've brought are not the most accurate, but I've just gone for the philosophy of good enough. As long as they're putting some kind of cannonball downrange, that's fine with me. You can see them flying off into the distance, about 500 meters off target, but I'm not too bothered because it looks cool and it's scary. So the game kind of just started off as a little skirmisher fight. Neither side was really prepared to advance, at least on my side anyway. There's kind of a big engagement over here with Prussia, almost getting his guns taken, although he gets the cav in there. A little bit of a pull through, but we won't say anything about that. Back on my side though, it is just skirmisher v skirmisher with the guns on each side hammering away. I've brought the 95th rifles, which such a cool unit. If anyone's watched Sharp, well, I'm sure everyone that's watching this has probably watched Sharp at some point. You bastard. Not you, just Sean Bean in general. Here we go, so the skirmishers just fighting back and forth. If anyone a bit more experienced in the mods knows what I was up against here, can you just let me know? Were those elite skirmishers I was fighting? I'm not quite sure. But here's just a shot of France deploying. They've brought a lot of infantry and quite a lot of supporting units, but they're just sitting behind the LOC, taking cover behind their guns, which might have been a wise strategy. Although the terrain was a bit bumpy and undulating, so they didn't really have direct line of sight on a lot of our troops down the centre. And I think it's Napoli that I'm fighting here. They've made quite a huge mistake. They've walked in front of France's guns here, the 3 set of 12-pounders that they had deployed firing at me. They've just marched in front of it, you can kind of see there. So I capitalised on the opportunity and just start advancing all of my reserves, knowing that they're not going to be able to return fire without shooting through their own men. So that's why you can see all my reserves marching down the road, and I'm playing quite aggressively now, pushing forward. And here we go, the bold British soldiers marching down the road. Glorious. Absolutely glorious, if I do say so myself. I'm not quite sure if Napoli had crashed here. They were acting as if they'd crashed, but later on in the game they started making some orders that made sense, so I'm really not sure what they were doing here. Completely diabolical pull through from France here. Just pulls through all his own men, his guns to
we have killed their general, sir. Now they must break.
Yeah, it's a bit of a no-no, and it's quite frustrating. Although my cavalry that I've brought here are quite elite, so I do believe I managed to pull them back without losing them. Here we can see just the massive reserves I've got advancing. France still being quite passive, sitting behind those guns, behind the building there, not really deploying to help their ally out. It's a bit interesting. And yeah, the cavalry's been a bit of a nightmare. Trying not to pull through here, but they kept getting on my nerves and running through that unit on the right. See, Napoli is acting like an AI here, which made me think it was a crash, but I think the play was still in the game. Just, he must have been throwing out some pure nonsense orders. And you can see those guns are still there and doing damage to me. I really had hoped to take them out with that cav charge just before, so I'm in a bit of a pickle unless those guns are taken out, because if they decide to start firing canister, all my reserves marching down that road are going to get minced. But we do manage to push a bit further upwards. Didn't quite get the cav charge in here that took the guns out, unfortunately. But the guns were taken and Napoli was essentially destroyed. France is beginning his retreat, and the theme of this game is the French retreat. Here we go, so I've got Austria on my right, I'm forming up here. I'm trying to give them a bit of space to let them deploy, but there are two armies in relatively small space and it does get a bit cramped, so I'm just trying my best to start his way. But France is on the retreat. Prussia taking out the guns, yeah, taking them guns there. It's lovely to see, and you can just see some Austrian troops to my right pushing up, and there's me continuing my advance. We were quite on it in this match. Once you've got the advantage in this situation, it's really important to keep pressing at home. Don't give the opponent any space to set up and deploy. Every time you see them march back, you've got to be on their heels pretty much, just running them down. Because if you can keep this sort of momentum going, it can slowly turn into a rout. So it's always a really good idea just to keep following them, stay on their heels, and don't give them any space, which we managed to do. We catch up with them in this town here. You can see Denmark off to the left, holding against Prussia. Here are the King's German Legion troops letting off a volley. Absolute elite troops. I think they've got about 30 accuracy, which is insane. There we go, we just keep on moving the mass up. We've got the advantage. There's no way they're going to be able to break this massive troops I've got. We don't have cavalry superiority, but the French just aren't using their cav, so just thought, why not keep advancing? If they're not going to use it to help themselves set up, then might as well just keep advancing. Set up a unit here just to get a little bit of enfilading firing. That's really devastating if you can get a side volley on the enemy. And these elite King German Legion light infantry troops get deployed on the left. Here we go, so the town fight has begun. France not lasting very long, getting forced out straight away pretty much. You can see they're wavering in quite a large part of the line. Morale was definitely not high on this day. What France could have done in this situation is made a few gaps for the cav and thrown it through. If they would have just rammed some cavalry into the front of my lines, they would have forced me into square and slowed me down a bit. They really should have used it just to buy themselves a bit of breathing space, but they never managed to do it, unfortunately for them. And Denmark is now about to get caught in the crossfire. France, who was holding their left flank, has just graciously ran away, leaving him exposed. So Denmark has to fall back as well. And I'm sending in an elite unit here. I'm not quite sure which unit it is, but it's a very good one. I think it actually might be the Connaught Rangers. Don't quote me on that. But I've sent them in melee. And they're catching these wavering troops as they're trying to retreat. Just instant rout. sending the rest of Denmark's line, redlining as well, and they just lose a load of troops in the retreat. And then we start to box them in here. France has probably at this point realised that they're coming to the end of the map and there's nowhere else to run but to my left. So they have to go left, so I start just deploying a few of my troops to let some fire downrange, just to catch them as they're walking in front. They don't really have a choice here, but get mowed down. Again, France really should have been using their cavalry here. They did have cav superiority, so they could have fought back and put me in the square and sent in those French troops into melee. Which is quite unfortunate that they didn't choose that game plan. They just decided to run, and here we can see the absolute devastation. It's not really a good idea to move units while they're under fire, just for this reason, that you're going to get lit up. Yeah, it's generally a good idea to only move your units once they're not under any fire, which I suppose is the whole concept of pinning, but I won't get into that in this video. And it's quite comical. France are just running through this little town here, just narrowly escaping me, and Austria just streaming through the streets. It's quite funny. And honestly, the rest of the armies are getting boxed in as well. The other allies to my left have also managed to box the French in. So it just becomes a bit of a murder ground. I can see Austria is wanting to go down this corner of the map, so I'm just pulling my guys back just to let them through. I know that I've not really given him too much space this game, so I want to give him an opportunity to get a few kills in. And here on the left, I've just forgotten about these troops advancing, and I catch them at the last second. Hopefully they can get a volley in, but I don't think they do. The French actually countercharge. And my fault here, I managed to park a unit in front of another on fire. It's kind of shot him in the back and lost that there, so that's on me. But I flipped this one around just to put some flanking fire into the French here. And here we go. The French are just on a general retreat. There's not much hope left for them in this battle, other than to hold off in this little woodland that they've got. Just completely surrounded. At this point, they've lost the majority of their cavalry, so they don't really have any hope of holding us off. They've got 4 armies bearing down on them. Bit of a nightmare. And here we go. I see some Danish troops holding the woods there, and without any regard for my unit safety, I'll just throw them into melee just to get the job done. I'll make sure to put up the kills at the end of this match. I did manage to get a screenshot. So if you did play in this match, GG, it was quite fun. It was a bit of a one-sided match, but the first part was quite fun. It did go on for a really long time, and it was just an artillery duel at the start. So if you are playing today, leave a comment, let me know what side you were playing. And if you enjoyed the video as a viewer, leave a thumbs up, or make sure you subscribe and hang around for similar videos in the future.
Our men are running, sir.